Okay, hear me out. I know this is a provocative topic, but if you're here watching this, then I got you to click, and you may as well stay a while and listen. If you've been playing Elden Ring lately, you've probably seen the discourse surrounding the DLC's difficulty, just like every other time FromSoft releases anything. Yeah, I'm kind of late to this whole thing. I've been busy. Life finds a way to get in my way. Just in case you're not caught up on this fiasco, to summarize, Shadow of the Erdtree has a new leveling mechanic called Shadow Tree Fragments. Skippy, skidoo, Scooby-Doo, skippity toilet fragments. These little things you gotta find and collect. It sparked a whole new difficulty discourse because, surprise, the hard game gets hard DLC, and people don't understand that they need to find these skippy skidoo fragments, and a bunch of Souls nerds got upset. Basically, it's the artistic intent versus accessibility versus difficulty versus gatekeeping argument all over again. In fact, over the weeks that I've been writing/brainstorming this essay, I've seen the same topic come up in multiple podcasts and videos, etc. Which is honestly kind of weird, but also not at all unexpected considering this happened recently, but anyway. So this whole thing centers around Elden Ring, but honestly you could extend this to any game. For the purposes of what I want to talk about, I'm just going to focus on Elden Ring as an example, especially because I don't think it's a perfect game, and it could benefit from some changes. This also works well because there are some real dumbass gatekeepers in the Souls community, and incoming DEFCON 2 level opinion that you've probably already figured out because of the title and/or thumbnail, so prepare your butthole. I think Elden Ring should have an easy mode option, in addition to an actual pause button and a quest journal. I know, controversial. Let's get into this, starting with the easily addressable ones, and also because they're not really the main topic. The pause button and the quest journal. So, pausing. You're telling me you've never had a situation happen where you need to go do something ASAP and had to pause a game, or worse, leave it running because you're playing Call of Duty or some shit. Come on, man. Just give us an actual pause button. Now let's be clear, I'm not suggesting this as something to be used as a crutch. It can just be a generic, like, Konosuba-style pause screen where you can't do anything. That's fine, it just needs to be an actual pause. You don't have to be able to, like, quick load or quick save or whatever from there. And in Elden Ring's case, don't give me the whole go to your system settings and whatever argument, because 1, that's ridiculous, and 2, it takes too many steps, and 3, it's not at all intuitive. It's just not a solution. Sometimes life happens, and we're in a time where gamers are, I don't want to say mostly adults, but there's a lot of adult gamers now, and we have things to do, and sometimes we get surprised by those things to do, i.e. children, right? Sometimes we just need a legit pause button. It's just, it's quality of life. Games have had them forever. Why can't we have one for Elden Ring? Now the other thing, the quest journal, this gets muddier because now we're getting into game design. I think it's pretty well known that Elden Ring's quest design is very obtuse, probably on purpose. A quest journal, just like notes of who you've spoken to and what you talked about, would go a long way towards maintaining immersion and actually easing the completion of these quests. The obvious counter-argument to this is to just physically write in a journal. So, let me just ask, is this something you're really gonna do? For the majority of us, I'm thinking that we're not willing to do that. For one thing, it requires keeping pen and paper nearby, and stopping to write things down, without a pause button, by the way, is also immersion breaking. If you keep something like this in-game, it'll just be a much smoother experience. Now, for the big one, easy difficulty options. Keyword being options. There are a lot of people out there who are just not good at games, no matter what. That's okay. Sometimes they have some sort of disability. Maybe it's a cognitive thing, maybe not. But they're being kept out of experiencing a lot of games, especially if you're someone who has limited time. What's called situational disabilities, which you may have heard in a different video somewhere else, maybe not, but that's a good thing to look up and know about. I'll let you Google that on your own. Games, in particular Elden Ring, have a lot more to offer than just combat and difficulty. So the atmosphere, the handcrafted world, the lore, the music, the whole experience is worth so much. Think about how fascinating, like, just experiencing the lore is. Like, VaatiVidya built an entire YouTube career around that. Why keep someone from experiencing the lands between for themselves? What about the journey? What about the personal satisfaction of defeating bosses, which I know seems a little counterintuitive because we're talking about difficulty. But the community can only grow when the game opens up to more people. So why not just have difficulty options available? The usual response is something along the lines of, this game isn't for everyone, and it's not the artistic intent, which I totally get that, and in a lot of cases, I actually agree with those ideas. A game for everyone is for no one, and games are an expression of art. So the intent behind decisions made by the developers should be respected. However, like I said, people will just miss out on all this other stuff Elden Ring has to offer, simply because of the combat system, really. Personally, I think that's kind of unfortunate. I think we can have all of this difficulty that Dark Souls is known for, but just have the option to turn some of these things on. Like, do you want pause to actually pause the game? Like, we can have that. Do you want the game to have the intended difficulty with intended damage numbers and health bars and whatever? We can have that. That's just an issue of numbers and changing values in code. And I mean, there are mods to enable this out there. Let me live Google the most popular mods on the Elden Ring Nexus. Let's see, popular all time. Let's see, seamless co-op is #1, which makes the game easier, but I would argue that that's like a totally separate experience. Mod loader, cheat table. That's something else entirely. Let's see, how far to up? Second row. Easy mode for Elden Ring. DLC supported. By Odashi Kambu. There you go. It's on the front page when you look at the most popular all-time for Elden Ring on Nexus mods. And I don't think that's even the only one. There's definitely multiple cheat tables. Again, totally different thing. But it does kind of allow you to change things that ease the game, right? Pause the game. Wow, look at that. It's a mod that you can download. If only it were actually in the real game and you don't have to do anything extra. That's crazy. You've probably got a lot of objections to this whole idea, but think about all the other games with difficulty options. I mean, not just down, but also upwards. Like, games will have options to adjust things that indirectly contribute to difficulty. Like, I think it's Octopath Traveler. Or no, it's Bravely Default. All the way back on the 3DS, if anybody remembers that. You might, I don't know. But you could adjust encounter rates and how much EXP you gain down or up. So if you wanted to grind, you could crank that shit up. Or if you wanted to just like get through something, if you were getting frustrated, like I know there was one dungeon where I was just tired and frustrated and I wanted to get through it. So I turned encounters basically off. That's great. That's options. That lets you play the game how you want to play the game. And ultimately the game is our experience. Like, the developers can have an intended experience for us, but not everybody can experience that vision the same way. Or like adaptive difficulty, like in Resident Evil 4, is a thing. You get, if you're doing better at the game, then the game gets a little bit harder on its own, and then once you start sucking, the game gets a little bit easier. And this has been around for decades. Look at Doom, like OG Doom, look at Minecraft, look at Ace Combat, The Witcher, Mass Effect, Bravely Default, like I mentioned. Celeste, I know, is very well known for having a lot of options, especially for like indirect difficulty. Like, just throw a dart at a wall of games and you'll probably hit a game that comes with difficulty options. So, where is the downside of this? Like, outside of artistic intent, what is the objection here? I'm having a hard time coming up with any real objections besides the artistic intent one. And even that, it's like, well, you know, we're making a consumer product here. How much is that artistic intent really worth? Like, it's still important. Like, don't get me wrong. I love that we have weird, interesting, fucked up games that I definitely do not want to play, but I appreciate that they exist, right? And anyway, I don't actually expect FromSoft to change how they make games, and I kind of don't want them to, but I also lament the fact that a lot of people cannot get into these games because of the difficulty aspect and how hard it can be to get used to it. Like, for me personally, Bloodborne was my first Souls game. Well, Soulsborne, Souls-like, whatever you want to call it. And I bounced off of it at first, and I didn't touch it for a long time until I decided to go back and give it another try, and I basically felt like I had to unlearn everything I knew about playing video games in order to understand Bloodborne. And I see that now, introducing like new people to Elden Ring or like any other Soulsborne game. And that's like the first thing I tell them, is to like unlearn everything you know about video games. You have to learn these games on their own rules. That's how weird they are. You could get real deep into FromSoft game design if you wanted to. I'm sure somebody has. Anyway, I am rambling at this point. I've just seen a lot of discourse about this lately, and I've had a lot of thoughts regarding difficulty. I am in the camp of giving people more options. And when I say that, I don't just mean options to turn things down. There should also be options to turn things up, because there are always crazy people who want the absolute hardest challenge possible. And that's great. Games are a different experience for everyone. Everybody's different. Let's all experience this artistic medium together. Do let me know how wrong I am in the comments, and make sure to hit the dislike, because it's all engagement and it doesn't matter. If you've made it to the end of the video, thank you for listening to my bullshit. I do appreciate it. I hope you've gotten something out of it. If not, like any kind of new perspective or validation or whatever, then maybe a little bit of entertainment. I don't know. But I will be back next month with a more normal video for me. I do have something in the works. Okay, bye.